Kicking off a red team assessment, among other things, you'll probably perform some social media scrapping to compile like an employee full names list and process it with some name to usernames generator. That way, you will end up with a final, let's say, list of possible username, valid usernames. That way, you can begin to brute force and password spray various services like SMB, HTTP, LDAP, and of course look for valid domain accounts by performing an answer burst attack, possibly discover users without the Kerberos pre-authentication required attribute, get a foothold to a domain account. And here's an issue someone might face. If you target a very large organization, for example, let's say you have a red team assessment against Amazon or Microsoft, which have so many employees, you will probably, if you scrap LinkedIn, which is I think it's really popular to do, you will end up with a full names list of employees that has thousands or tens of thousands of entries, and many of them will not be English names. Obviously, Amazon has Greeks working there, Spanish people, Russian people. There will be a compilation of who knows how many languages, maybe 20 or more or less, I don't know. But definitely it will not be only English. You can definitely try to fix that, of course, with some encoding, decoding tricks and stuff. For example, Python has this very nice module. It's called UnitDecode, and you can just install it with pip. I'm going to import it right now, UnitDecode, and it can do something really interesting. You can call this function and give it some text that is not in the Latin alphabet. For example, this is my name, I'm Greek, and this will return to you a transliterated version of this text, and it's really cool, but it's not really how I would officially write my name. There are a few variations that I would do it, but none of them is this. This is wrong, and I'm pretty sure that in Dutch and in Russian and in other languages this will also be wrong. So I said to myself, I can't really rely to this, because if I give it a list and it translated like this, and I generate usernames from this name, for example, append some rules like grab the first letter of the first name and the last name and do something like this. This could be a valid username for me. Of course, it's wrong, because I would never ever write my name like this. So I said to myself, maybe I can create a tool that will transliterate, I think it's called romanization, transliterate names from other languages to how it would be written in the Latin alphabet, but in a correct way, like a human would do it. So, and this can only happen if I create character language maps. Like, for example, I have created the Greek to English substitution map, and this is how this works. And of course, I did it for Spanish also because I think it's easy to do, because it's very similar to English. But of course, I can do it to these languages. Hopefully, people will come and contribute some language classes. For example, someone already contributed the Polish class. So let's run an example and see what this can do. I'm going to show you just my sample here. Okay, you saw it before also. This is my name, this is just a random Spanish name, and this is a Russian name. I think this is Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky's full name in Russian. So I am going to run this new tool. It's called BabelStrike, and I know what you're thinking. This name is ridiculous, but I decided to go with it. And I'm going to parse this file and append a few options. -R, which stands for romanization, -C for conversion, and -A, which means append reverse. Basically, it will take every name and also reverse it in order to perform even more usernames. For example, Jon Snow will also be processed as Snow John, and I'm executing it. And we can see it identified some of the languages, actually all of them, that were in this file. Greek for my name, Spanish for Maria Isabel, and Russian for Dostoevsky, but we do not have, it's not supported yet. I don't have this language class. Maybe some brave guy will come and create it for us. And we can see the transliterated versions were saved in this file. Let's read it. And let's also have our initial input. Okay, so we see my name became this, which is actually the official transliteration of my name in the Latin, with the Latin alphabet. Let's say Maria Isabel was also corrected for this minor difference that it has, and this was omitted, and every omitted line will be saved also in some other file. it's separated. This this file became the input for the next function. You can of course use it on its own. Maybe you have already some list, I don't know how you compiled it, but maybe you have a list, you can just skip this option and input your own list to generate usernames. And we see that from, how many was it? 2 names were basically reached the transliteration phase, and they were inserted here, and 164 usernames were generated out of them. And let's see what it looks like. There are various rules will be appended. Here's my name, for example, only first name, only last, and then various things are happening with initials, with a few letters from the last name, with some symbols. You can see what's going on. And here's the project's repository. You can find it here. I published it hours before this video. You can read about it, a few things, and here's the name to usernames conversion rules. If you're curious to see what's gonna happen, here's the rules for names with 2 words only, like Jon Snow. Here's what it's going to be like. And if you have a name with a middle name, it will be of course a bit different, the processing, let's say. It's very easy to install, only one requirement it has, and I definitely need some people to contribute. I need some people to create some language classes. Let me just show you real quick. Here is the instruction, what you need to know in order to contribute. It's really easy, I would say. I'm going to the language classes folder in this project, and you can see there are only 3 right now. I'm going to the Greek, for example. I think it's a good example. It has many characters that need to be treated with various ways. And this is the only thing you need to do. It's just create a class, give it the name of your language, take this dictionary. Please don't change the name of this dictionary variable, because it's being read for every language when it's needed throughout the program. And here you can see I have substituted, like, hey, when you see this Greek letter, it needs to be this. And when it's more than 1 variations, I use a list, and the program BabelStrike will automatically generate 2 or more variations of the same name in order to hit all of the possible ways that it could have been transliterated with the Latin alphabet.